Welcome to HOD Live. We are back again. Today is Friday, October the
18th.
Yes.
18th. It is 12 days before Halloween. And,
That's a Halloween.
Halloween. Yes, 12 days of Halloween. And I'm taking First Lady trick-or-treating with
wow.
Courtney and Rita.
Oh,
Yep.
let's go to the good houses. Get full-size
Get
candy
a
bar.
full-size candy bar. It is 18 days before the general election. Is it 18 days?
Is it 18?
Something like that. It's coming up soon, November
17,
the
yeah.
5th,
17,
17.
18.
Okay. Well, we are here in our HOD Live studio in the bunker in the undisclosed location. I want to say what's up to all of the Saints, and Ariel Long is on, and Dorothy, and Marie
Ariel.
Battle, and Rita West,
Deke.
and everybody.
Hey, everyone.
And so, okay, let's see what's been going, what's good in the lives of these two wonderful co-hosts. Any recommendations, show and tell, praise reports?
Well, let's start with Courtney and then come back to me.
Come back to you.
Okay, so the one thing that I've been thinking about here lately is Bible class. I know it was only 2 days ago.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's talking about conviction and how we should speak with conviction and passion in the things that we believe. And so the other component that I was thinking about as far as that was even our identity. You know how sometimes we may be shy in how we say things like, oh, I don't drink. And we just leave it at that.
Right.
Like,
So
I just
do
don't drink.
like that.
No.
I went.
No, Pastor.
I got confused for a
Will
moment.
it back here. Will it back here.
I need you to go to the heavenlies,
Right.
Pastor.
Yes. Right. Go ahead.
But even on today, I was having a conversation with a coworker, and he was saying, "Yeah, I need a beer or something." And I said, "You drink?" It was just a shock because of how he carries himself and all that. And he said, "Yeah, you don't." I said, "No, but why would I?" I said, And when I was about to say I'm this, and that, I just simply said, I'm sanctified. He said,
Good,
oh,
that's
you, and he
right.
started doing that thing. I said, no, I'm sanctified. I don't do that.
Right.
I don't
Right.
do all that playing. I don't play with this.
That's
It's
right.
too serious. And he said, okay. I don't like people that do that either. But you know, if I'd have went there with him,
He would've
he'd have-
went
you
there
know what I
too.
mean?
Yeah.
But just having even conviction in your identity, because a lot of times we don't even realize really who we are
Yep.
in Christ and what he has equipped us with. So that's what I've been thinking about, the conviction in giving reasons,
Yep.
as the Bible tells us to give reasons why we believe or we do what we do. So
That's
Exactly.
wonderful.
That's really
Wonderful
good.
observation. I could not agree more. That's very astute. Sometimes we downplay
Yeah.
Right.
why we do or why we don't do, and they need to hear the reason why
Right.
we do or don't do, even if it makes us look strange
Yeah,
and weird.
it's
and
okay.
stuff.
Exactly.
First Lady, what you got?
I was just going to add to what she was just saying. When I used to work, believe it or not, I did have a job before.
yes, you did. You are not Tommy.
And on my job, I remember when we used to do fasting, like as a church, and sometimes I would be fasting on my lunch break, and they were like, "Oh, you're, why aren't you eating?" "Oh, I'm fasting." And sometimes I would just leave it at that. So, if I had this lesson then, I would have told them why I was fasting. So,
Yes.
what else?
Well, prayerfully, you will have another job soon, so you can get back in there. You can tell.
Amen.
Amen. We touch and agree on that,
We
First Lady?
touching and
All
agreeing
right.
on that.
That's right.
What else? Also in line with this teaching, you've been talking to us not just about being bold and having conviction with what we're saying, but also being authentic, being who we are. It's okay to say I like McDonald's.
That's right.
It's okay
I
to
didn't wanna
enjoy
own
your
that
basket
before.
of fries.
I
Where's my
like my
sound
basket of
effect?
fries.
Where are
Yeah.
my sound
Oh,
effects?
I like my filet of fish with Big Mac sauce.
Absolutely.
Oh, I do too.
And I know that stuff is poison, but if I'm going to indulge every now and then, because
Yeah.
I eat healthy for the most part, so if I'm going to indulge, I'm going to have my McDonald's, and I'm proud of it.
That's good.
Hey.
I had
And
me
that
a
was
big
just,
old.
this week I got liberated with that. The teaching, Pastor.
Well, I will say this. I had no idea that McDonald's had baskets of fries. You turned me on to that. I had no idea you could get fish fillet,
Double.
Big Macs. You know,
I didn't know either. I
I've gained
just
so
said
much
ask.
from this marriage.
Oh my goodness.
I just want you to know that first. I've gained a lot from this marriage.
Yes,
By the way, the McRib is coming back.
yeah, that was always gross.
You don't like McRib?
They
never
tell
liked
you
it.
it's
It was-
gelatinous and they pour it into a mold to make it look like
But
rib.
it's good.
There's no
It's
bone.
nasty,
It's
and I would-
disgusting. It
I'm gonna bring you one.
smells.
I'm gonna
I
bring
would not
a
eat that.
McRib to
My mom
HOD
loves
Live.
I
them.
would
though.
throw it in the floor.
Girl,
I would-
McDonald's.
Don't throw my McRib before you gonna start a fight.
I would throw it on the floor, Pastor. Get that mess out of here.
So my thing, as you threaten to throw my McRib on the floor,
You don't even eat meat. So.
well, I did and I can and I may. Have any of you all had Katie's Pizza and Pasta? It's 3 locations in St. Louis. Katie's Pizza. One is in, I think, Town and Country, and one is in Central West End.
I've heard of
Very good. They're brick oven pizza.
Okay.
Yeah. They just announced that they're going to be selling their frozen pizzas at Walmart.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But it won't be until mid 2025.
Okay.
But it's probably going to be this small.
Real tiny.
Yeah, real tiny. What's your favorite brand of frozen pizza?
The Emos ones are not bad.
They're not. They're expensive though. $10.
They got them
for
at
the-
Aldi's.
Do they?
I like,
Okay.
I
They
was
do.
just say I like Aldi's. They have a cauliflower crust pizza
I wanna
that I
try
like.
I want to hear
That's
about
pretty good. I
cauliflower.
like it. You
You
like
say-
that cauliflower.
Oh, there we go again.
You like it. Don't start. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'm just joking. I'm
She
just
got her
playing,
beret
okay?
on.
She
Pat,
did.
so
She
I
got her
was
beret.
steered clear.
Is that a raspberry beret?
It looks more like cherry.
It does. No.
It's red, isn't it? I think it's red. I do
I'm
have two
I'm
different
gonna
colors.
put on that song where you can do your robot dance.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Because I will start doing it.
I know you can't help
She
it.
won't stop herself.
All right, so those are all. First Lady has obviously.
I missed you guys last week.
We
That's
missed
right.
you.
We missed you too, First Lady. She was going to wear a red beret and a flannel shirt to Bible class on Wednesday.
No, it
Remember that?
wasn't. It was my cream color beret.
But it was a
with my
flannel.
shirt.
And I told her, she said, I've seen this style before.
Combination.
I said, you have. So I sent her a picture of rerun
That's where you saw
because
it.
he used to wear the red berets and the flannel shirts.
Oh
And
my
said,
goodness.
no, you don't want to do
Oh my.
that. Okay.
Oh
You don't
God.
want to do that. All right, so let's get into the news since First Lady has exposed her robot dancing side. First Lady used to be a very avid dancer.
I did. I used to be in the clubs.
She used to be in the clubs,
And I was, I had accidentally auditioned.
Now we know this ain't accident.
Auditioned for the Eagles cheerleaders, and I made it several rehearsals before I got cut. I actually went with a friend of mine who was going to audition, and she was like, "Oh, just do it while we're here." And I was like, "No, I don't want to." And I auditioned, and she didn't make the cut, and I made the first several cuts.
She was always going to be an eagleette.
I don't know if they call them that, but
That's good. An Eagles cheerleader. That was somehow. You still got that outfit? You still have your Eagles.
I didn't make it.
Oh Lord.
I only went to the.
HOD Live.
It's live today.
All right, so we're going to become higher class as a
Okay.
podcast and
Okay.
elevate ourselves. So let's get into some of these wonderful. Andre says, "Cool it, Pastor." Okay. So one of the stories I saw, we're going to keep it local. St. Louis Reparations Commission issues final report and recommendations. Someone tell me what reparations, what is that?
40 acres and a mule
Yes,
say that.
40 acres and a mule. Reparations.
and a
okay.
Buick.
And a Buick. Well,
Okay.
I'll take the Buick. The 124-page final report calls for comprehensive measures to guarantee accountability for historic harms against black residents and address present-day racial disparities, which trace a direct line to the era of chattel enslavement. St. Louis's first black mayor, Tashara Jones, signed an executive order to enact the commission in December 2022. Over the last 18 months, members have conducted research and held 27 public hearings to hear directly from residents about their slavery experiences. or their just experiences. The resulting report traces St. Louis's rise as a hub for the trafficking and sale of enslaved Africans along the Mississippi River. Did you know that, First Lady? Institutionally sanctioned racism continued after the formal abolition of slavery through segregation, redlining. Someone tell me what redlining is.
Separation in neighborhoods.
Right,
Blacks
certain.
can only live in certain
Right.
areas.
And who did redlining? The banks, right?
Oh, yes.
And other discriminatory policies designed to deny black economic and social well-being. There's Tashara Jones. To chart a new path forward, the City Commission makes policy recommendations in 6 main areas: housing, neighborhood development. Oh, I don't think I want to read that. Okay, so here's the thing with the reparations, and I thought long and hard about how I felt about this whole reparations idea. Reparations, of course, being this notion that we as the descendants of enslaved people should be paid money, or in this case, I think the commission said to invest in local neighborhoods, stuff like that, for the harm of slavery. I think that this, and reparations, this idea of reparations started back when I think Jesse Jackson ran for president back in the 80s. There's this big push of reparations. I think, one, there's no way that any type of reparations is going to pass. You know, who gets the money? How you going to decide who gets the money?
Exactly.
How much money? You know.
And you can't put a price tag on the atrocities of slavery and the damage that slavery caused. You can't put a price tag on that. I mean, how are you going to reimburse people for?
Yeah.
You know, it's a ridiculous thing, in my opinion.
I completely agree, and I don't think it's going to pass.
No, it won't.
Not for Missouri. I find it hard to believe. I know in other states they've been doing things slowly and calling it reparations, but it's not that.
I mean,
it
how
almost
do you-
seems
I mean,
like
how
hush
many,
money.
400 years of free labor.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
you said, how do you determine who would get the reparations? And would it be a fair, you know, how do,
I mean, what are you going to get right?
Well, yeah.
yeah, like it
It's a lot of reasons.
Who's going to
why-
manage it?
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
But it's a lot of
And
reasons
who
why it would
decides
be
who gets it?
impossible to do that, because one of the tactics that they used during slavery was separating family. So how do you know whose genealogy is linked, number one? And then number two, another thing, they didn't keep track of black births. So
Right.
there may be family members out there that people don't even know that they're related to. And what if the descendants now is just one member,
Right.
but it was 27
Right.
descendants, so
Yeah.
it's just...
And the thing is, the other crazy thing is that it's not like any of this is over, or racism
No.
or stuff's over. I was
Right.
reading this thing. This really shocked
like
me.
the greatest reparations would be some real police reform.
Well, that's true. I
Let's
was
start
reading.
there.
No, it's not. This a lot of the stuff we get we buy in Walmart, Whole Foods, like Rice Land Rice, Ballpark Franks, Coca-Cola, which is manufactured in Atlanta. A lot of these, the meat, the grains, stuff like that, come from prison labor, prison
Yes.
yards, and it shows up on the shelf. So people go to prison, then the prison, they work at the prison. They don't get paid. They have a butcher shop. They grow food, and these companies buy it. In fact, in Alabama, they send their prisoners out to work at McDonald's
Yep.
and
Wow.
all this stuff, and basically slave labor.
Labor.
They don't get paroled and things like that. And so slavery and is in some respects is still happening today.
Yes, it is.
They here in Missouri, you can go on some website and buy all of this furniture, linen, clothes, boots that are made by prisoners. And they have a website where they sell household furnishing, computer desk, all this stuff that are made by prisoners. And they're not getting paid, maybe a nickel an hour, 50 cents an hour, whatever. But there are companies, and not to mention that, but anywhere there is a prison, then prison is big business,
Yes.
because
Right.
they employ a lot of people as correction officers and food staff and things like that. And it's become a huge business.
Absolutely.
That's unfortunate.
It stories. I saw this one person on the news. She was a black girl who was working at McDonald's. She was incarcerated. She cannot get out. She was saying that there was one day she worked, like, it was a ridiculous amount of hours, like 16 or 17 hours she worked.
At McDonald's.
Wow.
16 or 17 hours.
Let me move right along. Another story here in St. Louis before we get into our national story. Now, this one's quite interesting. Man poses as woman on dating app to rob at gunpoint in St. Louis.
Wow.
Okay?
Single ladies, be careful. Steph,
No,
for those dating
no.
sites.
These are not single ladies. Watch this.
Oh, he posed as a
Yeah.
lady, so he's trying to get
Right. St. Louis
Single
County,
man.
Missouri, a St. Louis County man allegedly posed as a woman on a dating app to lure other men into meetups, only to rob them at gunpoint, authorities say. The St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office has charged Ernest Johnson. If anyone out there has
Ernie.
yeah, right, Ernest Johnson.
I was thinking that. Don't.
No relation.
Any relation.
26 with first-degree robbery, vehicle hijacking, and 2 counts of armed criminal action amid the investigation. Johnson is accused of planning armed robberies on at least 2 occasions last summer in North St. Louis County. After connecting with victims through the Black BLK dating app. Anybody use BLK dating
No.
app? Rita? Okay. According to court documents obtained by News Nation affiliate KTVI, one victim agreed to meet a person on June 21st that he believed was a woman. When the victim arrived to the arranged meetup spot, he was robbed by 3 men at gunpoint.
Wow.
The group took his phone and other items. I'm assuming flowers, candy, all the stuff for his date, right?
That's
On
crazy.
June 27th, a second victim was planning a meetup to meet a person that he also believed was a woman through the BLK dating app. Ladies, if you're on BLK dating app,
Get off.
get off. Brothers, if you're on BLK, right?
Yes, get off.
He acquired a phone number through belonging to, you know what they call this?
What?
Catfishing.
Oh, yeah.
Through belonging to Johnson to arrange a meetup. After his arrival, the victim was ordered out of the car at gunpoint by 2 men. The victim, however, attempted to drive away and was shot by an armed man per court documents. Police later reviewed the case and determined that Johnson's IP address was linked to communications with both victims. Johnson was booked into jail in St. Louis County on a $500,000 cash-only bond. I thought about this case long and hard. So here's one: dating. My heart goes out to every
Yes,
single.
yes.
My heart goes out.
It should, right? It
For
say it
real.
affects you more than me, right?
Yes.
To every single man and every single woman. The fact that, one, dating has become a very life-threatening situation because let's start, first of all, you don't know if who you're dating was born a man
Exactly.
or a woman. And then not only that, but you get on these dating apps, you don't know if they're catfishing you, if they're really who they say they are. You just don't know. And so I think when I was thinking about this, I agree with you, Eric Moon, he should be locked up. The safest way to date is through the stranger acquaintance friendship pipeline. In other words, you cannot date anymore by meeting someone at the gas station or meeting someone walking down the street because you really don't know what
That's
you're getting
true.
into.
That's true.
You almost have to be around someone, develop a friendship with that person, get to know them, be introduced by another person that you know, and then start dating. It's too dangerous now to have. First Lady and we hooked up. I met her at the bookstore, just like that. I don't think you can do that as much anymore. What do you all think?
You got something on your mind.
Yeah, we met in a bookstore. But this situation, it's a horrible situation. It's a crazy situation. But there are some very successful relationships and people who have met on dating websites We used to have a couple in this church who met that way.
It was a long time ago.
Wow, yeah.
I think nowadays a single
It was a different
person,
time.
I'd be very hesitant to meet anyone, especially you have
I
to
mean, but even if you meet somebody through a friend, you know, it
a
depends.
vetted friend.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, there's no real way of knowing who someone is. And that's why as single women, especially Christian women,
She's about to go into heaven.
you have to be prayerful.
Go forward.
You have to be prayerful.
You do.
You know, because you
Absolutely.
don't know. I mean, you really don't know who somebody is.
But I would say in addition to being prayerful, you also have to use your natural resources, because it's not just a matter of, it's a matter of, are you compatible with this person?
True.
You know, having one thing that we don't do enough of is that people who know eligible men or eligible
Right.
women have to do a better job at having, you know, encouraging meetups or hookups, or hey, I have this friend that's single, and trying to introduce. In other words, we have to do better sometimes at being matchmakers. Now, what do y'all think?
That's a good point.
By the way, Courtney, I have this brother that.
Tell me what you got.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, but I think it's a bit mixed. So back in the day, I thought, no, I'm just gonna meet somebody naturally, organically type of thing. I didn't want to
You
do
did that once.
womp womp womp. But I didn't like the whole idea of matchmaking and
Right.
that kind of thing, because what I found in that was the person that you're not interested in, they may present themselves one way. But
Right.
for somebody that is
That's it.
interested, you may see a whole different side of that
Right.
person and think, why in the world did you think I was going to be
Yep.
compatible or like this person? Like, it's a
Right.
difference when you're around friends as opposed to when
That's
you're
true.
pursuing somebody, I think.
But
I agree with that.
every other culture, though, really does matchmaking.
They
And
do.
we're the only culture that doesn't
that-
take marriages as and hookups as something that,
Don't
you
say
know,
hookups.
I mean hookups meaning I'm not talking. Get your mind out the gutter, First Lady.
No, but
Elevate.
your audience
I'm
might
not.
be thinking,
no,
why
they
is
know what I'm
Pastor-
talking about. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about one night stands, First Lady. Come on, elevate.
Oh
elevate.
my! Oh
Elevate.
my!
So, but the
However,
right. I think that having people who you know and trust introducing you to other people is probably nowadays the safest way for single people to meet other single people. And because if you know someone, if you have a girlfriend or you someone you know that you introduce them to someone, that's much safer than people just meeting randomly, even in the church. Because people, in other words, you add a
Okay,
layer of being vetted.
Well, in this church, there was someone.
Hold on, stop. No, I'm putting a pause on no.
oh, he
about-
know where
no.
you going.
I don't know where she's going. That's a problem. I don't know where
Was
she's going.
introduced to somebody.
Let me read what Tatiana says. Tatiana says, hold on, First Lady. Tatiana says, I think the dating pool for single people has a high percentage of being trash. Yes, Tatiana. I think meeting through other friends or acquaintances is a good idea. Tatiana, you are brilliant. Unfortunately, some people don't have good friends to introduce to other single individuals, which is a red flag. Absolutely. Erica Moon says single women should bring their potential suitors to their pastor for second opinions.
All right.
That's
good,
right,
Good
Erica.
idea,
That's
Erica.
right.
Yeah.
So, but I think that isn't it safer? Wouldn't you
I
want
would
somebody as a
think-
single
that's what
person?
I was gonna say back then. I thought like absolutely no. But now I do see that, and even for me initially, my thought process has even changed. Initially, in the old time, let me not say old time. When I was younger, before I
Right.
became middle age, right? I thought you
Are
had
you
to-
middle aged?
I'm middle aged. And so I thought you had to have that time where you get to know the person first and then you bring them around other people. But I don't have time to waste. I need I need my people to tell me what's up right away
Wow, she
before
got
there's
no
too
time.
much
Y'all hear that?
investment.
Right.
Because
That's
whether
true.
it's the heart, whether it's fantasizing about what you think love or relationship is gonna
Right.
be, shake me before
Right.
I'm too far gone.
Right.
So I believe in just being open from the onset, not trusting myself, not trusting my flesh, but what y'all thinking, what y'all seeing. I think the first thing for me is we got to have a game day or something.
Game day in the church?
No,
so
it ain't got to be at a church. It could be at a friend's
game
house.
days,
'Cause that's the real me.
But you know who shows up at game days, right?
Who's that?
Players.
Players are gonna play, Pastor. Players are gonna play.
Okay, so listen.
You're talking about because they're coming to play the game. I got you.
It was a duality.
Yeah, that went over here, right?
And she tried to bring it up.
She did. She tried to bring it back down. But I will say this, though. I will say this, that, and here's the danger. As you get older and being single, and you start to build things in your life, you start to have a good credit score.
You have too much to lose.
Right. You start to have
Absolutely.
a nice place to stay, you know, a job, a car, some money in the bank. Then you have to be careful because it's not like you're both 20 and broke.
Right.
You now want to make sure that whoever you allow or invite into your life as friendship first lady, not one night stands, nothing like that, that they are good and decent people.
Yeah.
And you're not being tricked. You're not being seduced. You're not being, bamboozled. There's this podcast called Betrayed or Betrayal or something like that I listen to. And this woman, her husband died. And so her husband left her with a lot of life insurance.
And here come the piranhas.
Right. And here comes piranhas. So she meets this guy from Mexico.
Oh, no.
And
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh my God.
I'm like, red flag. You said, oh no. I'm like,
Okay.
Julio.
I'm sorry. No.
Donald Trump just entered the chat. Okay, so she ended up
He could have been from anywhere.
right. Okay, she ended up dating this man, and so he then brought her down to Mexico, her and her children. Which, when they brought her down to Mexico, he ended up saying, "You know what you should do? You should sign a prenup before you marry me." So she thought, "Wow, he's not after my money. He's telling me to sign a prenup." Come to find out that prenups in Mexico don't hold weight, right? So she married him, and comes to find out he had another family, another wife.
I'm sure.
She lost all her money, and everything was done. And so, you have to be very careful as a single woman, especially as you get older. And so that's one reason I think that having people who are vetted and not just you meet off the street is more to your advantage. A respected friend kind of vetted this person.
Right.
It's too dangerous otherwise.
Yeah, I would agree.
I agree with that.
Definitely.
I'm saying even still, sometimes as Courtney was saying too, you may have friends who you think you know pretty well, somebody you may think you know, but how they are with you and how they may be if they get with your friend that you introduce them to, it may be they present somebody else, and that's what you were basically saying. Sometimes people in friendships are a lot different or they present themselves one way and they can be totally different in a relationship with the person you introduce them to.
But are you talking about simply, there's a difference between saying, I'm not compatible with this person versus this person is a threat.
Totally being a different person.
Yeah,
Like, as my friend, as a good friend of mine, I would not know if you were an abuser unless I introduced you to a girlfriend, and the girlfriend I introduced you to, you end up, not you, but I'm saying the single guy who is a friend of mine, I might not know that side of him because around me and the other girls, this person is real nice. He presents well. We know him. We go way back with this person. He gets in a relationship with somebody that I introduce him to. He could be a different person. He could be abusive. He could be, whatever. You wouldn't know that necessarily as a friend.
But don't you think, though, you have a better chance of meeting a stable person if they are recommended from someone, almost like a restaurant, versus someone just you meet, a quick trip, you meet out and about. If I was single, I would not necessarily want to just meet someone cold. I would want some type of
insight.
Vetting. And it's too dangerous. I mean, nowadays you have women who are posing as men posing as women.
And you can't go by the throat no more because they taking hormone altering things. They getting this shaved down, and it's a lot.
And you want, but again, I think matchmaking is an important part of this whole thing. And as we meet people, we should be cognizant of our brothers and sisters who are single. And if we have people in our, matchmake, does that make sense?
Yep.
I would think so.
It could work.
We have to start having some love connections around HOD. remember that game show, Love Connection?
Who's gonna be Donnie, Baby Brown Eyes?
Do you hear about that one murderer on Love Connection?
Yes,
That guy
it's a
was
movie or
a
something coming out
serial
about that,
killer,
right.
right?
I saw
My
a
uncle was on
preview.
Love Connection. My Uncle Philip.
Oh, was
Yeah,
he?
he was. Well,
That's funny.
all right, so that's that. Speaking of love, speaking of I'm feeling in a loving mood.
It's holiday season
It's
soon.
Halloween. It's not about it.
I said
Okay.
soon.
Soon.
Yes.
Do any of you all know what love echoing is? Any heard of love echoing?
Love.
No, not that. Love echoing. This next article is if you are in a relationship or you want to be in a relationship. Let's say you feel as though you always get into a relationship and they never work out, or if someone you love is in a relationship that never seems to work out. This article really kind of sheds a light on this phenomenon called love echoing. All right. A psychologist who specializes in helping women who deal with attachment anxiety by the name of Marie Land quickly noticed something almost all of her clients had in common, whether single or in a new relationship. The women tended to ruminate on their past relationships to almost a self-sabotaging degree. All right? A decade into her career as a psychologist, Land now calls the behavior love echoing. Love echoing occurs when you return to memories, thoughts, and experiences with a person you had romantic feelings for but are no longer with, said Land, whose office is in Washington, D.C., is essentially a unique type of overthinking where past relationship thoughts echo in your mind. Though it's healthy to process previous relationship, Land thinks that sometimes you can overprocess the details and that the facts of your past relationship may not be relevant to your current relationship. For instance, she says, maybe you fault yourself for being wrong about your ex. You chastise yourself for falling for your idea of them rather than evaluating and making decisions based on their actions. Now that you're dating again, you worry that you'll fail to correctly read new potential partners as well. That's love echoing. In the realm of dating and relationships, there's ample room for failure, but the love echoer wants to understand how they could have been wrong for so long to prevent future hurt. There's a whole lot in this article to unpack. In the process of ruminating over your mistakes with your ex, you leave little space for a new person to come into your life. You may date around, but you're so wary of other people, there's no room for growth. Jennifer Chappell Marsh, a couples therapist in San Diego, thinks it's easy to let love echoing get in the way of new romantic prospects. When a client comes to therapy and talks about something like love echoing, what they're often describing are the lingering emotions of a past relationship, she told HuffPost. Love doesn't just vanish when a relationship ends. Instead, it can leave behind, listen closely, emotional footprints, memories, unresolved feelings, and behavior that continue to influence how they engage with the present, Chappell Marsh said. Maybe someone starts to notice that habits from their past relationships, such as being overly accommodating or afraid of abandonment, are still playing out with a new partner, and they want to prematurely jump ship or unhealthily cling to the person because of it. These are the echoes of love and are often more powerful when the relationship ended abruptly or left emotional scars, Chappell Marsh says. So there are conditions where this love echoing becomes worse. Though men can certainly experience love echoing, Lance says research suggests that rumination is more common among women for several reasons. First, women are more likely to use emotion-focused coping strategies such as seeking social support or thinking deeply about problems, things that can start off as healthy ways of coping and then tip over to the unhealthy. Now stay with me. I want to read. This is good. Studies also suggest that women may be more vulnerable to cognitive patterns such as self-blame and self-evaluation, which are closely linked to rumination. Women are also socialized to be more attentive to relationships, she said. They often take on an excessive responsibility to maintain relationships, right? Love echoing is most common among those, this is very good, who are anxiously attached. Our attachment style, and there's different attachment style, whether you're anxiously attached, that means someone who is just, who is clingy, avoidantly attached, someone who's always removed, or securely attached. I guess that's a good thing. Takes form in childhood. So how you attach to people is determined by your childhood, based on how our parents or caregivers treated us. It's the way we emotionally bond and relate to others in the context. Okay, I'm going to stop there, although the article goes on. What are your thoughts on this notion of being caught in this feedback loop of past relationships, past hurt, past trauma, and taking this and contaminating new relationships?
I think that's a pretty common thing, especially if women have been hurt before. Everybody that they meet, they could potentially compare to the ex or assume that the ex did this, so you're going to do this. I like to say myself personally, I was not like that. I judge people individually. So even though I had a bad breakup, the people that I dated after that, I didn't measure against that person. I didn't think, well, this person was a cheater, so you must be. So I did not do that. But I think in other areas.
Listen to the article, though, because it says that your attachment, how was your relationship with your father?
Very close.
Right. Was your father a loving person? Did he give his love freely to you?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So this article is saying that depending upon that parental relationship, that produces different attachment levels. So you can't, you can't say that in your case, you had a very close relationship with your father and your sisters were all close. And then too, you don't know how bad your breakup could have been. So your case could have been different than other people's case. It doesn't mean it's not happening, if that makes sense.
That's true. I mean, there are some people, like I have a girlfriend, her mom is divorced, but she's very good friends with her ex. But she always says that for a long time. I said, did your mom ever want to remarry? And she said, no, she didn't trust men because of what she went through with her father. So, that could be a thing.
Yeah. Well, my thought is, I think it is something common. I think it's something that we probably don't even think about a lot of the time. For whatever reason, I think women can have the propensity to carry the brunt of the weight, whether it's good or bad. It's like we want the credit if something's going great because you see all this that I'm doing. But sometimes we're working overtime and it's not really required, but it's just something that's kind of ingrained, or as the article says, socialized in us. So when it goes bad, we feel like, or we can feel like, we're the responsible party, even if it was something that was bad that was done to us, because we're carrying, like, we want it to work. And it's not just in romantic relationships, it's on our jobs, it's in friendships. Like, we want to be a success in whatever we do. But the article bringing up that it stems from how you were raised and what type of love or example that you were given. You have some young ladies that are now adults that could see how their mothers were treated and they didn't want that. Or some that felt this is the picture of what my life should look like. And so it's a lot of different components that come into play with it. So I think it's it's good that the article or that somebody is talking about it and there's data on it for that, because like, give yourself a break.
Right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like, if your department isn't at 100%, it's not a department of one. You can only do so much
Right.
in whatever you're in. It's more than just yourself.
It's a couple.
But we carry it as if it's an individual thing. This is a me because I'm connected to it. And I think we overcompensate in
That's
that
a good
way.
point. I like one thing I like that article that few articles today do is it identified things as terms of, it wasn't afraid to talk about women and how women differ from men, and that some of the ways women think and process emotions
Right.
lead to certain type of dysfunctions. And of course, men have theirs too.
Right.
But identifying that there can be an over processing, a self-blaming, a sense of, and I guess it goes back to women in a relationship, women have most to lose.
Absolutely.
Women have most to lose.
Absolutely.
Women in getting into a relationship, let's talk about physically. Typically, unless you're Dorothy, typically
Dorothy Dandridge?
Typically, yes. Typically, the male is, the women is going to be in more danger than the male,
Right.
Because the male is going to be physically strong or whatever. So they have their physical well-being to lose. They have security and mindset. And I think men generally, this is just a generalization, bounce back quicker from relationships than women do, right? So part of that is that when entering a new relationship, women sometimes have their guards up, as they should.
That's true.
But they can have them up too much.
Too much.
Right.
And become very jaded
Yes.
when it comes to a relationship. And I like how the article talks about that, and there are differences between men and women.
Definitely. And you don't want to repel the thing that you want most if
Right.
you want a
Right.
relationship or you want marriage. But I think especially in our culture, it's like, oh, you got to be the man and the woman. I probably decided in my 30s, I don't want to be both. I just
Right.
want to be a woman. I want to
Right.
embrace femininity. I don't care if there was a
Think
part of
like a
me
man.
that felt like,
Right.
or a part of me that felt like, oh, that's a sign of weakness. Or there was a time in my life where I felt like to be feminine and there's no one there, why? Just be hard, or just don't show anything. But that was less than authentic. That wasn't who I really was, but it was a way of me trying to protect myself when, I'm gonna let Jesus protect me.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to be foolish and that kind of thing, but I'm not going to take on a persona that's not me and then try to let it down, because as much as it took to build it up, it's not just going to drop because I say, oh, here comes somebody, lower that.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So,
That's a good point. There is a hardening now of women.
yes.
That, and some of it, if you look at some of these movies and tropes where you see a little 5'2", 95-pound
they
woman
always
just throwing
short.
away, throwing men around and monsters around, and
You're right.
and women have taken on this idea that they have to become hard, that and their strength has to be the same
Right.
as a man's strength, which I think makes you brittle, and causes more harm. And all it is just a defense mechanism.
Right.
Right.
This article really, we talk about deliverance in the church,
Yes.
and deliverance from, drugs, alcohol, demonic possession, perversion. But the longer I live and the more I deal with people, the more I'm seeing the different multifaceted need of deliverance.
Yes.
And some
Absolutely.
people
Right.
really need to be delivered from past love echoing or feedback loops where something traumatic happened in their past, and they want to look at everything in their future. And it's not just in terms of, like you said, men and women. It's in terms of, churches and jobs, and there's so many jaded people
Right.
in the church, out of the church, people who have their guards up so much that God can't even get a blessing
Right.
through because
Right.
your guard, the suspicion and the guards are always up.
That's true.
That's true.
That's absolutely true. So, yeah, when you were talking about it, I totally agree about the deliverance part. I think a lot of it is mindset too, because we bring our old mind into this new walk and we try to apply the principles of God, but it's still the old mind. We're not being renewed as the Bible tells us to be.
That's a very good point.
And it's a continual thing. It's not just when you first come into the church or you're first filled with the Holy Ghost, but it's continually, because you're still in that same world.
Exactly.
You haven't been removed from that.
Right.
So you still may have the same tendencies to do. You have to be retrained, and something else has to feel that. But
Right.
if you don't make yourself available to it, in the Word of God, of course, but just in new thoughts or new ways of thinking or being, it's gonna reemerge.
That's
So,
true.
Definitely. I had a along the same line, when I was reading this article, a thought came to my mind. I was getting ready to do a whole lot of stuff this morning. We have this class tomorrow. I have to do some other things this weekend. And so the overwhelming nature of the schedule was just like, oh my gosh, and it just came such a burden. And so I started to feel myself kind of just getting burdened down. So in the midst of this, I said, wait a minute, let me pause and feel and try to see why I feel so, just burdened down by all this stuff. And I thought about, in your friend Elon Musk, how, he has a car company,
Not my friend.
rocket company, all these different things.
Right.
And you see people in the world whose schedules are super busy,
Right.
but they seem very energetic, enthused. I said, why am I walking around like this? And so I thought in terms of this art, I said, what I'm doing is, in all of these tasks and chores that I have, I'm expecting to go into these things having to fight these life or death battles. Like when I go into Sam's, oh gosh, this ain't gonna be on the shelf. I'm gonna have to deal with people or the lines. When I go to do this is gonna be an opposition. When I go to do this is gonna pose. And so I really had to be honest with myself and say, I'm not really expecting victory out of these encounters,
that's good.
right?
Yeah.
I'm going into Sam's expecting the worst. I'm going
Right.
into this meeting expecting the worst. I'm going into whatever expecting the worst. That's not expecting victory,
Right.
where you go
Absolutely.
into these things saying, you know what, it's going to be a mission accomplished, more good than bad. And when I did that, all of a sudden, all these little things, I wasn't overburdened by the task. I was
Right.
overburdened by my expectation of having to, fight a 10-round knockout thing with the devil
Right.
over a Sam's order. But it wasn't. I
Right.
went in, got
Yeah.
my stuff, and went out, and
Yeah.
it was fine.
Yeah.
And the devil plays these head games
Yes.
where, this is going to be tough. You're going to have to face this is going to be uphill. And sometimes we magnify the uphill nature of life when many times it's not uphill.
That's
it's just
right.
simply whatever. And we tire ourselves out.
It's good.
That is really good. I was
That's
just
good.
talking to my sister this morning. I decided I'm gonna stop at White Castle because I want me a hot chocolate. Pull up to the thing. It's the AI. Please tell AI Julie what your order is.
Really?
So I put on my best computer voice and I tell them, and I'm just sitting there like, "Hello, Julie. What happened?" So I end up having to drive off, and I'm like, "Dang, I didn't get my hot chocolate. I really wanted a hot chocolate." Then I get to work and the computer's broken down or the printer's broken down. The whole thing went down. I can't scan, I can't copy, I can't email fax. And I go to my desk and I said, oh, so this is the kind of day I'm gonna have. And right then I said, no, this is not the kind of day I'm gonna have.
Exactly.
I mean, it was one thing after another today. That one broke down, the other one broke down. So I'm back and forth on different floors trying to get paperwork done.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I went home when I needed to go home. I didn't stay a minute
Exactly.
late, and it was a good day.
Yep.
It
Right.
was just more exerting than I wanted it to be, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a bad day because I didn't get my hot chocolate. But it was like, oh, that went bad. Then I get to work. Oh, this ain't working. Oh man. But
Yeah.
We as saints, we expect, and we have to catch ourselves because
Yeah,
we hear
absolutely.
that the devil is our adversary, and he is, and he is here to fight us, and he does. But we have to balance it out by knowing that not every little day-to-day thing is going to be, the devil's not going to show up with an army of demons fighting
Right.
us in the drive-through.
Exactly. Yes.
We got to go. It's not, some things are just going to be normal.
Yeah.
And we don't have to dread. And here's the thing,
Right.
every encounter, every situation, every
Right.
conversation, because 7 times out of 10, the conversation, interactions we're having, it's not that deep. You know, the devil's not popping out. He's not going to beat us over the head. We're going to go in, grab our hamburger and leave. Go in, pay our bill and leave.
Yes.
Go in, do this and leave. And if we expect, you know, at least a certain level of victory in our life,
Right.
that's
Right.
going to lessen how tired and overwhelmed we are.
Absolutely.
Oh God, I gotta go do this. Oh
Right,
God.
exactly. Our attitude about
Yeah.
what we have to do for God sometimes is just like that. You know?
Very true. Andre said sometimes we are our own adversary. Our mind
Yeah.
becomes hyperactive with
Yes, it does.
negativity.
Yes, it does.
You know, we expect everything to be
Yeah.
hard and
Yeah.
laborious, and we know it is because, after all, we're saved, and the devil hates us, and hell
done
is
it for
against
us.
us, right?
Yeah.
All that's true, but it doesn't mean the devil
We gotta
is
start
is
focusing
waiting
on
for you at
God's
McDonald's.
promises. Right.
Getting your
no.
fries. I mean, sometimes you go to
Exactly.
your fries are hot and piping,
were hot.
right?
My fillet of fish was good.
Watch
that was
out,
the first time I had
McDonald's.
it that way. And I was like, it was.
So, what do you think about that, First Lady?
I agree. Sometimes you have to, you know, you got to expect the best sometimes.
Yes.
Just like you would, you know, you wake up sometime or you felt, like you said, you felt burdened and weighed down. You know, we got to change our mindset. You
Absolutely.
know, have an attitude of gratitude. I know
Yes.
that sounds cliche,
No,
but
but
if
it's
you're
true.
counting your blessings and focusing on your blessings. For example, yesterday I had a really, really rough day. I was feeling really weak. It was one of those days, and I was really frustrated. And I was like, but look how far you come. I had to
Yes.
change that. I was like, yeah, you're having a bad day. Yeah, your arm's not working. Yeah. I was like, but look how far you came. And I
Right.
had to think back to where I started from, even in this. And I was like, you gotta count your blessings. And when you're counting your blessings, you don't have time to be worrying about who's going to have an attitude or profile you in the store. You know, if I'm coming into the store, you can profile me all you want. How you doing today? And I'm gonna keep on walking.
Right.
I'm not gonna let you profile me, bother me.
Right.
But just like you profile me, guess what? It may be 3 other people in the store who are kind and nice and helpful. So
And-
we tend to look at the
right.
ones who are
Right.
profiling us.
Yeah.
Right.
We gotta change our focus.
We do. And then I saw this TikTok. Most people are not thinking about us.
No,
Right,
we
right.
think
No,
about
we're
us way
thinking about
more
right.
than other-
We're
yeah,
thinking,
that's
oh,
the
they're
truth.
looking at me.
That's the
They're
truth. Right.
they're so busy in their own world. They have an ear pod in. They're not even thinking about what we
true.
have on.
That's
what-
true.
And so we spend so much of our life in imagined trials and tribulation.
Right.
Right.
That we are so weary and tired out and worn when if we would simply in our mindset say, wait a minute, this weekend's not gonna be that bad. Or I gotta wash the car or clean whatever, but it's not gonna be that bad. I'm gonna put in listen to something as I do it. And stop dreading just
Right.
the normal
Absolutely.
task of life.
Yeah.
It's not your life is not that bad.
Right.
You know,
Not
ain't
at all.
nobody here having to go and beat pants on a rock to wash them. We don't have to wring our own chicken's neck. I mean, life is,
Right.
you know, and so it's not as bad as we want to make it
Right.
seem.
That's right.
true. That's true. Absolutely.
And every time we think, oh, the enemy, this, it's
Enemy,
like,
the
no,
devil,
it's like,
the
I don't
devil.
have time to worry about what the devil's doing. I'm too
Right.
busy pursuing God. And that's what we have to be doing. We
Yes.
have to
Yes.
be pursuing God. So we're not thinking about the devil that's chasing us. Pursue him.
Use these perfect 3 words response. Use this perfect 3-word response when someone hurts your feelings. Okay.
What? I forgive you.
No, that's good though.
That
That's
is
very
good.
good. In college, a friend of mine would always mock my sense of direction. No matter which way I went, my first step was always met with, "You never know where you're going." To her, the comment was innocuous. I couldn't stand it. Despite being close friends, I couldn't bring myself to tell her that the jab made me feel incompetent. That's interesting. So this lady, her friend, was like, "You never know where you're going." She thought it was just little, but this made her feel incompetent. It seemed dramatic to address something so small. Instead, I let quiet resentment. Saints, how many of you all are letting quiet
Right.
resentment?
Yes,
build?
yes,
That's real.
yes.
It's real. Build until one day I snapped at her. Saints, how many of you all are snapping because of quiet resentment?
Yeah.
My conflict is not unique. Suppressing your annoyance, that's my new phrase. Suppressing your annoyance
that's
can
a
lead, yes, can lead you to where I ended up. Cranky about a throwaway comment and bursting with pent-up emotions. If this doesn't this
Yes.
talks about, I mean, they're right in the church. There are better ways to deal with unwelcome observations. Any of y'all ever had to deal with unwelcome observations?
Yes.
Somebody
The
put their
church.
2 cents.
On both
In the
sides.
church.
Okay,
Receiving
murders.
and giving.
Okay, murders. That's right.
In the church.
And
In
the
the
church.
church.
Church folks will say
Why is
whatever
it
comes
so
to their
hard
mind.
to admit not all? Let's not paint this.
Some
Come
church
on.
folks,
Don't do that.
some church folks will say whatever
Letting
comes
the
to
enemy
their
just use you.
mind. I'm
Don't
sorry.
do you right.
Forgive me.
You're forgiven. Why is it so hard to admit your feelings are hurt? Do you have a problem admitting your feelings are hurt, First Lady? Let me pause. Hold that. A cutting comment can make you feel diminished, says June Tangy, a psychology professor at George Mason. Andre, no, don't log off. You need to be here for all this. George Mason University, whose research focused on shame and guilt. The times we feel hurt, it's typically when we feel rejected or criticized or put down in some way. And that's not so much embarrassment as it is shame, she says. And sometimes when people feel shame, they do buy into the notion that they are flawed in some way. This is when anger and conflict can creep into the picture. Hurt feelings can elicit aggression. But I think hidden in there is a sense of being rejected and being found wanting, Tangy says. Even though having your feelings hurt is a universal experience, telling someone that when what they said upset you can feel singularly embarrassing, says Judy Ho, a neuropsychologist and professor at Pepperdine University. We don't want to admit that someone can have such a big effect on us, but the truth is connections and relationships are vital to what makes us human, Ho says. It's okay to admit that someone's words had an impact on you. It happens to all of us. These are the 3 words. Help me understand. Touch your neighbor and say, help me understand.
Help me understand.
The best way to handle a comment or a joke that made you feel bad is to treat it like a problem you and your friend can solve together. Don't get any ideas, First Lady. Says Matt Abrams, a Stanford University lecturer and communication expert. The next time you find yourself thinking that your friend said something tactless or hurtful, try to see things from their vantage point. If you can't grasp their motivation or reasoning on your own, Abrams suggests, recruiting their help with these 3 words, help me understand. In order to have a healthy conversation, we're talking about conversation. Come on, stay with me, you two. Stay with me. No, this is going somewhere. In order to have a health, that's the problem. That's the
What you gonna say?
problem.
What you
No,
mean?
no, right? In order to have a healthy conversation that might result in mutual understanding, right? He suggests taking these steps. Pause. It is very common to have an emotional reaction and to want to respond right away, Abrams says. Giving yourself a little space can help you focus your thoughts. Think about the other person's perspective. Try to determine, this is key, if the person's intent was laudable but expressed poorly. Not everything is meant to be
attack.
an attack. Ask your friend for help. Invite your friend to collaborate in addressing the issue. You can start the dialogue with, help me understand. For example, you can say, help me understand why you don't trust that I know where I'm going. Or, help me understand why you think these shoes are funny.
Because they
Oh,
are.
stop. See, that's why you that's a comment you This doesn't work for black people.
No.
This indicates that you are hurt but willing to work it out. It also reminds you to focus on understanding rather than correcting and proving that you're right. Now I understand. This is somewhat
I'm
of
gonna try it right now.
okay.
Pastor, help me to understand why you were calling my braids bozo braids instead of boho.
Well, First Lady. First Lady. First
no,
Lady.
both
First Lady. First of all, I have no idea what you're talking about. It wasn't me. I don't know. And second of all, take that beret off. all right? But the key is, okay, so if you're having conflict, then what I like about it's only talking about friends. It's
That's
not talking
true.
about with. Then instead of, first of all, you have to take into account, maybe you're assuming that someone meant something they didn't mean. And then we've been talking about arming yourself. Say arm yourself.
Arm yourself.
With phrases to pull out in predicaments to help you navigate that. Pre-armed statements. And this is one. Maybe it's not helping me understand for you. Maybe it's
I'm not following.
I'm not following. Yes. But statements that will result in a healthy conversation instead of just reacting emotionally, like name calling or
Right.
crying or something like that. Would you agree with that,
I
First
agree
Lady?
with that.
What are your thoughts on that? Help me
I
understand.
agree with that. I just saw something today. It was five different quotes you could use in an uncomfortable situation if someone says something. I think one of them was, what was it? Why would you say? What would make you say something like that?
That's a good one. Right,
What
right.
would make you say something like that? I don't remember the other ones, but that was the one
I like
stood
that.
out.
What would make you say
What would
something?
make you say something like
Yeah.
that?
And you want to say it where you're not. What I like about that phrase, what would make you say help you? It doesn't make you too vulnerable.
Right.
You don't want to come in like this really hurt me.
Right, right, exactly.
Because what, you're hurt by that? That's going to result in somebody, you're hurt by that.
Right.
Whereas that is like, level.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
That's good.
That's good.
Last story, then we're going to call it a night, but this is a story I have to bring up. This picture of First Lady here counting her money. Look at that. Look at that. Is your emergency fund ready for the unexpected by Essence Magazine?
Well, is
Wow,
it?
that's good.
Right. In the wake of Hurricane Milton's devastation, a stark reality has come into focus for many black women. Financial preparedness can mean the difference between safety and being stranded in a crisis. As natural disasters become more frequent and severe, having a robust emergency fund isn't just smart, it's what?
Essential.
Recent data paints a sobering picture. According to a 2023 survey by Goldman Sachs, 71% of black women report living paycheck to paycheck compared to 63% of the general population. This financial tightrope walk leaves little room for unexpected expenses, let alone costs associated with evacuating during a natural disaster. The challenges of emergency preparedness became evident during Hurricane Milton. Many faced difficult decisions when evacuation orders came, weighing the cost of temporary relocation against the risk of staying put. For those living paycheck to paycheck, the thought of a hotel cost and missed work presented a significant financial burden, highlighting the critical importance of having a well-funded emergency savings account. This situation isn't unique to natural disasters. The Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of household economics and decision-making revealed that only 68% of black adults could cover a $400 emergency expense using cash or equivalent, compared to 87% of white adults. This disparity highlights the urgent need for targeted financial education and support within our community. So how can we ensure our emergency funds are truly ready for the unexpected? Start where you are. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Even though you can only set aside $20 a week, that's $1,040 in a year, enough to cover a short hotel stay or a 1 week or a one-way flight in emergency way. This is not talking about vacation, by the way.
Right.
Automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers to your emergency fund each payday. Treat it like a bill you must pay yourself. Apps like Digit or whatever Capital can help by analyzing your spending and automatically saving small amounts you won't miss. Diversify your emergency fund. Consider keeping some funds in high yield savings account for easy access and some in a money market fund for potentially higher returns. Websites like bankrate.com can help you compare options. Plan for specific scenarios. Beyond a general emergency fund, consider setting aside funds for specific risk. If you live in a hurricane-prone area, factor in potential evacuation costs. Leverage community resources. Look into local organizations that offer emergency preparedness workshops or financial. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Or financial coaching. Many credit card unions and community centers provide these services for free or at low cost. Build skills to boost your income. Invest in yourself can increase your earning potential and ability to save. Platforms like Skillshare or Coursera offer courses in various fields, basically talking about starting a hustle. Review and adjust regularly. Your emergency fund needs may change over time. Review your fund every few months to see major change. I'm going to skip for it. As Black women, we often carry the weight of financial responsibility, going back to what you said, Courtney, all this responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for our families and communities. By prioritizing our emergency funds, we're not just protecting our own futures, we're building resilience that ripples outward. What do y'all think about that?
I agree. That's really good. And it's in line with what you have been encouraging the saints to do.
It is.
I mean, you just recently told us to start,
putting away that 10%.
Putting away 10%.
What I find troubling is that we have not heard from Tara at all tonight. We have heard from Andre. I think someone needs a wellness check because this is not like Tara. Tara is typically commenting. Andre's over there commenting a lot, and we haven't heard from her. So, Sister Tara, if you need help,
press 1.
if you need help, type 1 in the comment. If you need us to call somebody, we'll come over there and get his hands off you. Amen.
I think that was a very good article to show just how things happen. But it also lets you see like how we are in the world. There's a lot of places that don't even accept cash anymore. For example, the airports. Yeah. So it's like if you needed to do something, they don't take cash. Or a place like Six Flags, not that that's a place that I would frequent,
right.
but it's places that don't accept cash. I've been telling the elderly, the whatever age, don't forget this year, Election Day, things will be closed.
Yes.
The banks and the credit unions will be closed. Like it's on their holiday list. So you need to have some money at home if you don't. So yeah, I like this article.
Andre says she's right next to him, but I don't know. That's what he would say. Right? After we get off, we're going over to Tara's house and demand that we see her.
There's strength.
And it better not be no Weekend at Bernie's things where she's right. I need to see her move her own mouth. Right? We will come. We'll come help you out, sister. All right. Well, you have spent another wonderful weekend with myself and my wonderful co-hosts. Very good comments tonight, you all. And we will see you, Lord willing, next week in another delightful episode of HOD Live.